What's up, everybody? It's the Baron here. We're doing another SimCity 4 tutorial, how to make money. So first we're going to start off a brand new super large map, just so I have lots of room to do what I need to do. First thing you need to do is create a section. Remember to hit Control if you're going to play with the trees. And you're just going to kind of wall off a certain area. So some of you that have played this before are probably knowing exactly why I'm doing this. This is to decrease the pollution that we have to deal with. So that's step one. We get the trees, make sure it's thick. I'm going to call it Metropolis because I'm a bit of a DC fan myself. I'm going to leave it on easy, but this should work on any of the major categories. Ooh, maybe I should test that before I say something like that. So next thing we're doing is a grid pattern. So I'm speeding up the video. My good God, I'm speeding up the video because I want it to be pretty fast, but you basically count to 5. You need a space of 4. And that space needs to be 4 by 4. So that's exactly what I'm doing here, 4 by 4. I'm not going to go the whole distance because I don't need to spend that kind of time doing a video like this. I just want to show in principle the best way to earn a ton of money playing SimCity 4 without using any cheats or mods or anything like that, which I noticed a lot of other guys are doing. So we build it out, we build connections out, and that was an agricultural segment that we placed everywhere. I do the windmill because farms are extremely sensitive to having, other things around them. So I built that. Turns out it's not necessary. The demand is high enough that you don't have to worry about it so much. And then I just sort of build out a layout of the city. So I use a little bit larger roads because I want the growth to be a little bit more fast than it would be otherwise. And I used our cheapest form of power. So the big thing here is we're trying to make as much money as we possibly can. The general theme here is that you should be able to use this theory, this method, to make any city you want work, building it from the ground up. So we're just doing a pretty standard one. Again, you have your residential. You generally want your commercial zone to be in the center. I did a little bit off kilter because why not? You'll notice I'm taking a little bit of time to make sure that there's no extra spaces. That's just a personal quirk of mine, so I'm not wasting any space. Put a plaza in the middle just for kicks. Then I run the power down and place that there, toll roads. So if you go under roads, right, you go under the section there. I went a little bit fast. But toll roads are a really excellent way to earn a bunch of money right from the get-go. You just have to keep an eye on them to make sure the traffic isn't getting backed up too badly. And you'll notice I allowed the farm one to fill up. Now these ones weren't quite big enough, but you'll see if I make them the 4x4, just as a proof of concept, they fill in immediately. So that's pretty handy. Now as I'm showing here, I go in here and I increase the agricultural taxation rate to 20%. It's like $633 that I'm earning, and then even if I speed it up, it stays at $633. Now the reason for that is that farms, you can tax 100% max to the 20%, and they're still going to continue operating because farmers are stubborn and they're going to keep working even if they're not making a whole lot of money. A little bit like real life. Then we put in an industrial zone. So you'll also notice once I pull this up, I left the agriculture as it is, so the agriculture section stayed at 633. We also have the dirty industry, and I can do the exact same thing. The dirty industry I can tax at 20%, and even when I speed time up, that taxation, that amount that I'm pulling in stays exactly the same, which is perfect. So I'm making $2,000. It costing me $677 or whatever that is. It's a little hard to see in order to keep everything running. So I am operating an extremely profitable city. So I start building utilities out. You need to get your water out first. Another tip for saving money: if you count from the edge of the blue, count 7, and on the 7th tile, you put your water forward, like I'm doing here. It'll fill up exactly the amount. That decreases the amount you have to spend on pipes all over your map if you do it properly, and saves you pennies, but over the course of a massive city, that's actually a fairly decent amount. I then start building hospitals and things like that, schooling. So at this point we should talk a little bit about, as you'll see, I lowered the tax rate so that I can do more industrial so that my city can keep growing. That is exactly something that anybody can do. as long as you have relatively low income people in your city Once your tax rate goes to something a little more normal, the city will start developing again. As you see, houses start building. So at this point I noticed that there might be something else, so I checked the toll roads and you'll see they're running at 103% capacity. The other one's even worse than that, 188, so nearly double what it can handle is going through there. So I started increasing the road capacity that's going into that segment of the city. But you can still use toll roads. So in this case, I'm making about $200 a month from the toll roads I've got now, and then as I increase the amount of toll roads, things go well. So at this point, I do a garbage thing because I believe that the garbage piling up is really limiting my commercial development. So you see the commercial development increases quite a bit after I kind of implement that part of it. So you'll notice that the fire alarm went off. I hadn't built any fire stations yet, and it's usually a good idea to wait until they start in order to start placing your fire stations. Because you get the warning, you should be able to do it fast enough to not really have to worry about it. So you put it down. As soon as that happens, you get to save and earn that money up until that point. You'll see now I haven't really built out the industrial zone very large because this was just a proof of concept. Oh yes, at this point, in order to earn $20,000, I do some of the missions. That's another really easy way for you to make some money on the side, especially if you're operating a fairly large city and you're waiting for developments to pan out. You can do that in order to afford things. And hitting E makes them travel that much faster. You also get access to university if you're trying to jump right to high-tech industrial, which is fair enough. At that point, I legalized gambling, and a little bit later on you can get a mission if you choose to, where you scout out a position and you can build a casino, which is another $200 a month between the two buildings. So again, I have all of that furthest to the left to develop and continue developing this industrial zone. I increased my taxes again, so I'm back up to making a crazy good profit, about $2,000 a month over the cost of running the city, which is perfect. I then show the air and water pollution. So the air and water pollution parts are the downside of doing this, which is why I have so many trees around. So I'm going to start a new development a little bit further out, and I'm going to run water to it. And it's going to be mainly manufacturing, which is better jobs, higher quality jobs. And I do the 7 count in order to minimize the amount of piping that I have. And I count 7 from the corner of where the pollution is to try and minimize the spillover effect from the water pollution that the farms are generating. So farms generate a ton of water pollution. Dirty industrial does a lot of air pollution. Trees help with air pollution, but not so much with the other one. But if you fully develop it and just leave a little bit of the farms on each space, it ends up working okay. Now that I have that manufacturing built up, I build some schools and different things like that. And we're on our way. I built some medium industrial just to kind of promote population growth a little bit. Still operating a profitable city. At this point, managing your expenses is the second major part of this game. You can lower how much your schools and healthcares are costing you in order to save that cash and continue to increase the money that we're making. And we've got a successful city that's making us decent money. So you can build out that industrial zone fully with agriculture and dirty industrial, build up a fairly large chunk of that city and then increase those taxes to crazy high amounts, and then build the rest of your city exactly how you want it. So it's a really easy way to make a ton of money. In the previous tutorial about how to get it to 1 million people, I did the same concept, but then I deleted that city after I had made 5 million people, or $5 million, and then built the city from scratch, which is definitely something you can do if you're thinking about doing it that way. Totally up to you. That's it for me. This has been SimCity 4. I am the Baron. How to make money. Thanks so much for watching. If you're interested in this sort of content, be sure to subscribe. Thanks again, and talk to you next time.